connect, solve painful problems, raise amazing adults, and have healthy families. Welcome to the Sean Donahue Show. Jordan and I do this podcast because we want your family to be close and connected, and for you to feel empowered in your most important job. I'd love to stay in touch and be your parent coach. Head to parentingmodernteens.com so you can get my parenting emails right to your inbox and see other ways I can support your family. Parents are teachers, and every home is a school. So teach well, love well. All right, let's have some fun. What is up, my fellow parents, listening, those of you listening on this podcast and also watching this on YouTube? Welcome to you on YouTube and our parents all around the country and all around the world. Jordan and I are so honored to be in your life. Today is going to be very fun and interesting, and I guarantee you something. I guarantee that what you're going to hear today is really going to challenge you. It's really going to get you thinking. We're going to do something we've never done before. Today on the Sean Donahue Show. It's very, very unique. I think you're going to love it. So Jordan, how do you feel about like personality quizzes? Have you ever taken any like Strengths Finders, Myers-Briggs, Enneagrams, anything like that? You into that stuff?
I mean, I think one of those, I don't ever know the names. It's usually just from like a buddy saying like, hey, you want to take this quiz?
Okay.
And what's the one where it's like ISTJ?
Yeah,
or,
I think that's Myers-Briggs. It's like the OG, the original.
Introvert or extrovert? Yeah. But can we go back to the beginning for a second? Because you said two things. It's like an oxymoron. You said it's going to be a fun show, and then you bring up quiz. I don't know if a quiz has ever been fun, dude.
Some people like really love personality quizzes, and some people like hate them. Like my wife Danielle hates them. I'm like, I've always really been into them. I'm just fascinated by people. Like one of my favorite quizzes is called Strengths Finders, and it tells you like one of your strengths. And my number one strength in Strengths Finder is called individualization. So I like nerd out on what makes people like individuals, and that's partly why. Did you ever, how about those like silly BuzzFeed quizzes back in like the day? Did you ever take those like which state should you live in or which Friends character are you?
Yeah, I probably did that because I was going to say I'm such a nerd. Like I love geography quizzes.
Yeah, geography quizzes.
Because, you know, I stare at
like, what's a
geography
quiz?
You know, like a quiz that would ask you questions based on states or, you know, like what's the capital of this what state is Mount Rainier in?
Washington.
Or silly things like that. Yeah. So like, you know, I like quizzes like
you know,
that.
What's popular is right now is I think it's like they come and go is like, there's like a dog quiz, like what's your personality in a dog breed? Have you taken that?
Quizzes are so
I know they are. I think I got Great Dane.
And you know what I hate? Yeah. I hate when people are like, they're so into their quiz. They're like, well, I'm this, and I could never get along with that. You know, because it tells me that we don't bind.
Seriously,
and I'm like, come on.
That has weirded me out too. Like some people take astrology seriously. They take it too far because it's almost like a form of astrology. It's like you're making up this like religion in your mind that like you can't be friends with your different Enneagram type. And yeah, that might be true. That might be helpful, but you have to keep these quizzes with a grain of like take it with a grain of salt. But today we're going to do the same thing. We're going to poke at this quiz that we're going to take and we're going to share with our audience here, but we're going to really use it for good because just looking at this quiz, which we had Jordan take this quiz, everybody. And what quiz am I talking about is the Gottmans have a parenting quiz. You can go and you can take it. And after you listen to this episode, I got a feeling you will want to take it. And the quiz is found online. It's free. And essentially it's like the Gottmans are teaching that there's 4 parenting styles. And I'm going to tell you what they are right now. And then, then you take this quiz and then it tells you, hey, based on your results, this is kind of what you're more prone at to. This is what your second one is. So Jordan, you took the quiz and how'd you feel about taking it?
You know what? I'm not one to like love quizzes. Honestly, I didn't like this one that much. It had a lot of self-reflection. So as you're taking it, you think a lot about how you're parenting and how you're doing things. And then you kind of get frustrated at the quiz because it asks you the same question over and over in different ways. Right. And so I'm like, this is so ridiculous, but it's fast, it's easy. And I'm interested to see what the outcome is because I didn't tally the outcome. Sean did.
I did.
And he'll kind of give me an idea of what it is. But there are a lot of questions that I could have written true or false for both of them. And I'll bring them up when we're chatting about specific questions because I think a lot of people listening will be like, that's a tough one to answer.
I think this is why we made an episode on this, Jordan, because I've never seen a parenting quiz that I hated more than this parenting quiz. Like I've never seen, I don't think I've ever have anything negative to say about the Gottman Institute more than I do with this quiz. But this is why I love the quiz because it really got me thinking. And you're going to hear some things here today from Jordan and I that are really going to get you thinking about parenting and challenge you and bring out the best in you. And it's kind of fun, everybody. So Jordan does not know the results. All right. So let me just tell you, here's the 4 options, everybody. Okay. So I'll just go one at a time. And then Jordan, you tell me your thoughts. Okay. Option 1. So first of all, actually, let me break it down. The Gottmans tell you that from their studies of parents that they've learned that there's really 2 types of parents. There's this type of parent which provides their child emotion coaching. They're not just there to put food on the table.
That's you.
They're not just there to pay the bills. They're actually there to mentor their child through the arts of life, of emotions, of relationships, of family, of stress, of working hard.
This is what we're all striving to be.
And then the second type of parent, what they found, is that the parents who don't do that. And they're like, attention readers, be the first type of parent. Then they broke it down and then they said, so they've discovered that there's these parenting styles. And the first type, which I want to bring your attention, and as you listen to these words, think, is this me? Is this a temptation of mine? Or you can also think, was this my parent growing up, right? Or this could be, maybe this is my spouse. So it's called the dismissing parent. The dismissing parent. Here's some of the qualifications or characteristics of that. I'll just go through these really briefly. The child treats the child's feelings as unimportant or trivial. The dismissing parent can disengage from or ignore a child's feelings. Wants the child's negative emotions to disappear. It's like, why are you doing this? Get away. Grow up. Calm down. They dismiss them. They don't want this. Sees the child's emotions as a demand to fix things. Oh, okay, we got to fix this problem. You can't be doing that. We got to, what's your problem? You can't be sad. You can't be angry. We got to do something about this. We're going to pick on that point in a second because I'm really salty even reading that right there because it really, one of the reasons I love and hate this is what I just said there. And the last 2 would be minimizes the child's feelings, downplaying the events that led to the emotion. Oh, it's not a big deal. Come on. What's the big deal? It's just a video game. Hey, come on. Don't overreact. Right. It
is. It's overreacting. These kids need to calm the heck down.
We're seeing that come out of Jordan. Jordan couldn't hold back. All right.
Like, dude, it's a game.
And the last one is does not problem solve with the child, but believes the passage of time will solve most problems. Kids will be kids. What are you going to do? There's nothing you can do. So what comes up for you, putting you on the spot, when you hear the description of the dismissing parent?
I mean, I think a lot of us can respond to that and say that's kind of how I feel because it's true. Even if you don't want to be a dismissive parent, there are many times in my life where those thoughts have crossed my mind.
Okay.
Right? It's like it is no big deal. All right? You're blowing this way out of proportion. You're not thinking about the big picture, right? There's a lot of learning that has to be done in these kids and they can't see everything that you can as a more wise individual, right? And so ultimately, it's our job to teach them that. But in that moment, sometimes it can be frustrating. She's like, really? We're still talking about this?
That's good. What came up for me was not much, but listening to you just brought something up from my past. I just realized something that right now I own my own business, Parenting Modern Teens. And so I'm like the boss. But for the majority of my life, I worked in different companies, organizations, where I was having accountability, right? I had bosses and I would have like reviews, right? Just like most people do. It was those are very stressful for most of us. And they were for me. But one thing I remember hearing from a lot of people, and I've heard it from my wife and my own children, is they say, Sean, it's like you dismiss us sometimes. Like we'll tell you something. And it's like you just don't listen. You do not hear it. It's like you don't want to hear it. It's like you just have this way of just like moving on and dismissing people. And I've heard that.
Or are you tuning them out?
Well, I'm just telling you what people told me.
Okay. I'm just trying to ask you,
I think
it's almost like it's not registering. Like you're like, I didn't even hear you.
It's like I don't. Yeah. It's like I don't intentionally mean to tune people out. But I just think that because my personality type is a Great Dane or a Rachel, because I'm a Leo or a Lion or whatever you want to call me, I do think that I have strengths and weaknesses. And I definitely, I just a very like passionate person. And when I want something, I don't listen as well, I think, as other people wished I did. and I dismiss people.
Well, and honestly, to pick on that just for a second, then we can move on. I think there's been several studies where they say you can't do two things at one time. Yeah. Like chew gum and walking, but like reality is your brain wants to focus on one thing. And I think for you, you have a lot of stuff going on in your head. And when you're focusing in on a memory or a goal, or you're so in your mind, you don't even know the exterior forces that are around you. So you might not even process it because you can only really do one thing at a time.
Do you ever feel dismissed like on this show or like in our pre-show?
No.
Do you ever feel like I don't listen to you?
No.
Oh, that's good. Okay, thank you. Okay, let's move on.
If there's ever a time where you're not, I'll be like, Sean, we're going back to this.
Thank you,
I'll
buddy.
stop you.
Thank
like,
you.
dude.
All right. My wife would tell me that, yes. I mean, she's brought it up in marriage counseling before. It's actually something that I actually have as a reminder on the first of every month. I have a pop-up that comes up on my reminders, things I look over, things I even pray over. And I have something on here about beware. Danielle does not like feeling dismissed. That is one of the things that pops up because she hates feeling dismissed, and I have a tendency of communicating in a negative way. Let's move on. So, okay, the next one.
Okay, let's move on.
I want to dismiss that. All right, the next one is what we're going to call the disapproving parent. All right, not the dismissing, disapproving. Characteristics include judges or criticizes the child's emotional expression. All right.
Like, why are you crying?
Yeah.
Stop crying. This is nothing to cry about. Why are you so angry? It's no big deal. Things like this.
So I think dismissing would be like, don't feel anything. And disproving seems to be like what you were like, I'm going to judge you. Right. I'm going to label you. I'm going to put you down. I'm going to shame you. I disapprove of this emotional behavior. It is not okay. And I'm not going to try to push it away, but I'm going to try to, get in your head. Does that sound familiar? No?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Displays many of the dismissing parents' behaviors, but in a more negative way. Emphasizes conformity to good standards of behaviors. That makes sense. So it's like you shouldn't be acting this way. Like this, we're in Target right now. Like we're in a car. What are you doing? Mm-hmm. Believes negative emotions need to be controlled.
Believes negative emotions need to be controlled. Now, what would a negative emotion be?
Right. Sadness, anger, stress. Okay. Right. This is why we're going to pick on this in a second. Jordan and I are going to nerd out on that. Believes emotions make people weak. Children must be emotionally tough for survival.
Yeah. Toughen up. Build that wall.
Yeah.
We're guys. The real world's not going to be kind to you. You need to toughen up.
I get a lot of disapproving parents commenting on my social media videos. Yeah, with that. And lastly, believes negative emotions are unproductive, waste of time. Like, why are you sitting in that sadness and that anger, that stress? Just suck it up. Move on. Go study. Do your work.
You know what? I kind of lean towards that a little bit.
Okay, good honesty. So that description was like disproving. Well, I've got to tell you, in a couple of minutes, I'm going to tell you your score on disproving parent. So hang on, listeners, and see what he scores in. But you feel like that's you. Okay. That feels like a temptation of you, or like this sounds like you?
No, I just feel like, listen, life is going to knock you down. Yeah. Don't sit there and dwell about how your knee hurts and how I'm sad I got knocked down. Get up and keep going. That's my thing. So stop dwelling.
You have so many strengths, and one of your strengths is your positivity. Like, Jordan's the type of guy, like, coming in the room, he's just bringing joy and happiness to everyone, asking them questions about themselves, helping people to feel safe, happy, telling jokes, life of the party. And like, that's one of your strengths. Like, when you set your mind to something, like, you just get it done because you're just such a affirming, positive person. But I can see how then that might be one of your weaknesses, where it's like when people are dwelling on negative things, that's probably hard for you, especially people that are in your inner circle.
Yeah, I've had to learn to cope with, others who are the dwellers, and whether it's in my family or close people around me, I mean, you've got different personalities. So as long as you adapt and you don't force others to like come up to your standards or your beliefs and allow people to be what's best for them, then I think that's fine. Yeah. It's like, I'll do me, you do you. And while you're doing you, if I don't agree with it, I'm not going to say it. I'll be there for you. But ultimately, I'm just like, all right, let's walk it off. You're having a baby? Come on.
Oh my God. You went there? You went there? Okay,
next. I tell my wife that all the time.
The next one would be the laissez-faire parent, which would be like, another term of saying that would be like, just very avoidant, very avoidant, very, maybe they just want to be their friend, just not. And the qualities of this: freely accepts all emotional expression from the child. Okay. Offers little guidance on behavior. Does not set limits. Believes there is little you can do about negative emotion other than write it out. Does not help the child problem solve. And believes that managing negative emotions is a matter of hydraulics. Release the emotion and the work is done. What do you think about that?
I don't get that last part. A bit by I know,
like that's a little weird. Like, come on,
Gottmans. But I get the laissez-faire parent. I mean, we all have some of those people around us that we see. They don't discipline. They don't. They're not strict with their kids. They don't have a bedtime routine. Yeah. They've got nothing going. They're just like they're a complete mess. It's
no
a cyclone
structure,
no discipline, there's no organization.
Just parents are just people pleasers, conflict avoiders, and
let's be honest, kids thrive in structure. They thrive in structure.
I think the laissez-faire parent. They didn't mention this, but. Many of these parents, either they're just workaholics or they're just abusing screens or alcohol in their life because they're just so emotionally detached, from their children. Or it's the opposite. Maybe they were abused or hurt or traumatized by a very aggressive parent, a very authoritarian, strict parent. And then they went to this other extreme called a laissez-faire parent. And now they went too far. It's like they haven't balanced it out. And the last one is what they want us all to do. It's a word that you hear Jordan and I talk about almost every episode of this. It's called the emotion coach. And I'll tell you what you scored in that too, Jordan. So the characteristics describe this as values the child's negative emotions as an opportunity for intimacy. Yeah. That's deep.
Yeah, you teach that a lot, Sean. I mean, that's basically what our podcast is about.
Deep.
It's about these heart-to-heart moments. It's about, these times together where we have family meetings where we can really learn, teach, prep, and make sure everything's running as smoothly as possible.
Yeah, man. It's just even just reading that, just really there's like, it just gets me because it's like, it's still kind of mind-blowing. It's like those stressful moments, it's like that's a time, that's a season, that's the soil for the plant to grow. And to grow deep. Is a emotion coach, they say, is aware of and values her and own emotions. Is aware of and values their own emotions. Okay?
As in the parent.
I think so.
Us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. Okay.
Sees the world of negative emotions as an important arena for parenting. All right? An arena. Right. So your kid's having a meltdown on the soccer field. Instead of shaming them or dismissing them, you say, okay, this is an opportunity. This is an arena. This is my game time, in a sense. Does not poke fun or make light of a child's negative feelings. I'm looking at you.
Okay. Sometimes it's like, look at how mad they are. Let's laugh at them and point. No,
I know. I know. I'm guilty of that too.
I have seen parents.
I do that. I struggle with that. I sometimes giggle. Not so much now. When my kids were younger, when they're having meltdowns, I would giggle sometimes. Right. It is kind of funny. I'm just being honest.
When they're young, you're just like, really?
They didn't like it.
Yeah.
How does it? Yeah. Does not say how the child should feel. That's interesting. How the child should feel. You should be happy. Why are you so happy? Mm-hmm. Why are you so down? Be happy. What are you doing? Right? It's like there's so much of that.
You know what? I learned a lot about that word right there, should, from my wife, because there are so many times when we would have arguments about whatever. And I'd say, well, you shouldn't feel that way. And she'd have to remind me, you can't tell me what I can or I should and shouldn't feel. Yeah. And I'm like, man, that's so true. Yeah. And I'm coming to it from well, I didn't mean that, so it shouldn't come across that way because I'm not meaning to do that. But the reality is it is coming across that way. So she does feel that way. So I'm like, so I had to completely change that word right there. Should. Yep. You should or shouldn't feel a certain
way. Good insight, man. Good insight. And lastly, it says, uses emotional moments as a time to listen to the child. Emphasize with soothing words and affection. Help the child label the emotion he or she is feeling. Offer guidance on regulating emotions, setting limits, teaching acceptable expressions of emotions, and teaching problem-solving skills. That's a mouthful. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. But I mean, that's the cream of the crop, right?
Yeah, that's what we're going for.
That's what we're going for.
That's what. Yeah, we want to be parents who are not just putting food on the table and driving them to Costco and to school, but we're really coaching them in through the arts of life. All right, man, you ready to see your results? All right, we'll start with your least smallest result. Not a surprise to me. I knew you would score very low in this. You scored very low, as in you are not a disproving parent. Out of 23 opportunities, you only said 8 comments that were disproving of those. Okay. And so that was your lowest score.
Some of the questions are difficult. So there were times, as I talk to the audience here, just like you could write true or false for any of these. And you have to kind of figure out which one in that moment you want to write. And one of the, I don't have the question in front of me. I have it. But,
go ahead. Sorry.
No, I know, but I can't find it on this list. It basically says you're okay, or you enjoy, or you want. I think that was the word. You want your kid to feel angry.
Oh, interesting.
It was one of those questions. And I'm like, of course I don't want that. But the reality is we kind of do want that so they can learn that anger. They can learn about sadness. But that question is so tough because it's like, as a parent, I really don't want them to feel angry or to feel sad. But ultimately, you kind of do because they're going to feel that later in life. And you want to go through that process with them while they're young. So that was a tough question to answer.
Yes. Let's look at some. There's actually sections in this test, and when you go back and see the results, you can kind of see the clumping. So there's a clumping of disproving comments, and I'm going to tell you how you responded to them. Okay. So number 54, my child has a bad temper, and I worry about it. You said false.
False.
All right. So you said false, and that was like a good answer. I guess if good would be emotion coaching, that will say good, I guess. So yes, you said, I don't think it's question 55. I do not think it is right for a child to show anger. You said false. And that was a positive response. Now, the next one, the Gottman said that your response was not a good response. It was a disproving comment. 56 said angry people are out of control. And you said true.
I thought about that. I said true. Because anger can make people out of control.
I know, but that's not what the question says. It says angry people are out of control. And you said true. And they said that was a not disproving all, comment.
But most.
Right? I'm just telling you. This is why Jordan scored very positively with disproving.
The reason I said that is because if you were to talk to anybody who's out of control, I would say 9 times out of 10, those people are angry. Mm-hmm. Right?
Right.
If you have someone who's out of control, just causing chaos, you ask them why. It's because they're probably angry at something.
That's true.
That's why I was like, this is such an interesting question. These questions are fascinating. They
really make you think.
Everyone should probably take it just to take it.
I'm asking you, listener, everyone take this right now. How would you respond to this? A child's expressing anger amounts to a temper tantrum. Everyone take this for a second. And 58. Kids get angry
go ahead.
To get their own way. 59.
I'm sure some kids do, but maybe yours do, or you think your kids do. I said false.
59. When my child gets angry, I worry about their destructive tendencies. Number 60. If you let kids get angry, they will think that they can get their way all the time. Number 61. Angry children are being disrespectful. So if you mentioned true to any of those comments, that would be disproving based on this assessment. That you would be getting points to be more of a disproving parent.
Which we don't want to be.
And you do not want to be that. So, Jordan, you said false to all of those. The only thing you said true to in that section was
angry people are out of
control. Right? Now, here, let me pick on one that really, really bothers me. Look at number 63, Jordan. It says this. How would you answer this, everybody? Anger tends to cloud my judgment, and I do things I regret.
Oh, yeah.
So, Jordan, you said said true.
Oh, yeah.
I would say true too. But this is why this freaking quiz pisses me off, man. They say that that's a disproving comment. But how is that? Am I missing something? Do I have a blind spot? Why are the Gottmans telling us that if you say that that's true, anger tends to cloud my judgment? It even says tends, which doesn't mean all the time. It tends to cloud my judgment, and I do things I regret. What's up with that?
So here's probably where they're coming from, and everyone can think about this. When I get angry, does it cloud my judgment? Most of us would say, yes, it does, because you're in that moment, you're on fire, things are going on. But this is a two-part question, and this is probably where they get you. Because yes, it clouds my judgment, but then you have to add and I do things I regret.
Oh, there you go. It's like always do things.
Most of the time we don't. Yeah. Right. Most of the time we're just angry and we get over it.
Right.
But this is like, I get angry and then I do things I regret.
It makes me...
And I'm sure we've done that. Yeah. But not all the time, right?
It makes me think of this one. How would you answer this, everybody? Number 60, similar theme. When I'm angry, I feel like I'm going to explode. I get where they're going with this. This is why this podcast episode was made for this topic. Now, Jordan, you said false. And if you say true to that, then I am challenging you, and the Gottmans are challenging you right now to really think about what's going on inside of you. Because what they want us to do is they want us to be able to get angry, but to be able to manage that anger so we don't feel like we're going to explode. Because they're telling you that is a disproving parenting comment. That if you feel like you get angry and it's like, there's no like, it's like 0 to 10 or 0 to 7. There's no medium buildup. It's like you need new tools for your mind, self-care tools to let yourself be angry to the point where you're not losing it. You're not about to explode. You're not going to have to act out or shut it down, right?
Yeah. And if we could from a spiritual standpoint, if you could get to a point where nothing makes you angry, right? Or nothing makes you want to react to that anger. Obviously, there's going to be things in this world that make you angry. I get it. But to not let it impact you in a negative way, that's what we all want to be at. Let it, like, close your eyes, let that anger be a movie on a movie screen in your mind. You see it, you let it pass. Because then you could get to the ultimate stable person, stability, right? Unshakable. Just, it bothered me, but I'm just going to move on, and it's not going to impact my parenting. It's not going to impact the way I react to my wife or my spouse. It's not going to make me throw a book at my boss because he just fired me. You know what I mean?
Said.
We're bigger than that.
Anger is a beautiful emotion. We need it. It's a part of our lives. It helps make us human. And it's not a bad thing to be angry, but it's not bad that your kids are getting angry. It's as good. And you might have been told that by your kids or even by your own self-talk, but anger is a normal part of life. And parents or teachers in every home's a school. So we want to model for them. What does healthy anger look like in us and in them? I think one of the things that coming up to me, a famous quote, I believe it's in the Bible. I think it goes like this: in your anger, do not sin, which means in your anger, it's okay to get angry. You will get angry, but there's a line between living in a healthy, moral, loving way with your anger and crossing that line.
That's good, Sean.
Because you can still
Ephesians,
be loving.
Chapter 4, 26 through 31.
Okay.
Do not let the sun go down while you are still angry. Do not give the devil a foothold.
Okay.
Anyone who has been stealing must steal no longer, but must work, do something useful with their own hands, and blah, 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 blah. But in your anger, do not sin. There's so many. The reason it's in there is because so much of us, and when we do something bad, it's because we're so mad about something. And why do we get so mad? Let's ask that question.
Right.
Why do some of us get so heated? What is that?
I'm actually doing a teaching on that. I just did a teaching on that for the podcast. Just recorded one yesterday. And we've done some good teaching on that, like about yelling episodes. And I can go on and on about this, but here's a quick response. I think we get angry because we lose hope and we get impatient. We lose hope that people here care for me, people respect me, people are interested in how I feel, and we get hopeless and we get impatient, where we don't want to sit in this tension of discomfort and disconnection. And we have a feeling unwanted or unloved or disrespected. And we don't want to sit in that. We're not comfortable with being uncomfortable. And we get angry as a coping skill to make ourselves feel better. That's a short response. What do you think about it?
It's good. It's good, but yeah, and each one of us can answer that question on our own. It's more of just I'm throwing it out there because people could get angry that something's not their way.
Yep.
Then they get that way, and they're still angry. There are some people that just get angry to get angry. It's weird to me. I'm like, nothing pleases you. Why do you always look at life this way? And it's just something we have to change within ourselves.
Well said, man. All right, let's move on to the next parenting type. Everyone, let's see. Take this little quiz. Let's talk about laissez-faire parenting. Okay, so Jordan, I'm very surprised. They only had 10 questions for laissez-faire parenting. Very shocking. You scored 7 out of 10. Okay. Isn't that weird? You told the document
about being a laissez-faire.
You told the I know.
That is so crazy.
Everyone take this quiz for yourself. You scored.
Where do you find? Hold on. Where do we find this quiz?
Turn to page. You go online.
No, I mean for people. Just Google
Gottman parenting quiz. After this episode, everybody, hear us out. So, Jordan, look at question 44. These are a section, and just let me read these questions to our listeners without just let me read them so they can do a little self-assessment. Right. Okay, ready? Number 44. All right, ready. If there's a lesson I have about sadness, it's that it's okay to express it. True or false, everybody? Answer your questions. Right?
If there's a lesson I have about sadness, it's that it's okay to express it.
Next question, 47. When my child is sad, I try to let them know that I love them no matter what.
Great.
Okay. 48. When my child is sad, I'm not quite sure what they want me to do.
Okay.
Next one, 49. I'm not really trying to teach my children anything particular about anger.
Okay.
51. Oh, and nope, it'll be 52. Last one. Oh no, 2 more. When my child is angry, I try to let them know that I love them no matter what.
That's beautiful.
Oh, so the first one was sad, and that sounds familiar because the first one was sad, and the second one was anger, and then the last one, when my child is angry, I'm not quite sure what they want me to do. So similar. They just took anger and they sad and they made the same question.
Yes, and sad. And that's the same dang
Now, this
question.
Is what I'm confused. Help me understand my confusion. I think you're going to be confused too because you said true to all of those comments, all those questions.
Yeah.
And those were all laissez-faire parenting responses that you said. The document did not.
Maybe the goal is to be a high score on all these. I don't know what the goal is with this Gottman quiz, but it's like, come on, so many people can answer this question. When my child is sad, no, that's not it. If there's a lesson I have about sadness, I'm not sure. What was the question? There's not much you can do. Sad child beyond offering them comfort. No.
Let me break it down. Essentially, what you told the document is when my child's angry or sad, I'm not quite sure what they want me to do. That's what you said. True to.
Yeah, unless they tell me what they want me to do.
They say that's laissez-faire parenting.
What am I supposed to do in that moment other than just be there with them?
Well, I maybe you have a blind spot here. Maybe it's a weird document. It's a stupid quiz. I don't know. Let's guess. It seems to me like when your child is angry or sad, Jordan, you kind of are sure what they want you to do. They want you. A laissez-faire parent is like, what am I going to do? There's nothing I can do. I don't know what to do here.
No. What if they're mad that someone on the bus stole their backpack?
Well.
Do you want me to go to their house and talk to their son? Do you want, you know what I mean? Do you want me to go and talk to this child for you? I don't know what they want. They're just angry that the kid stole their backpack on the bus.
I'm not. Yeah, that makes sense. Unless they
this
tell
one
you.
ticks
Right,
me
you
off.
should be ticked. I'm trying to get you ticked.
When my child is angry, I try to let them know that I love them no matter what. I said true. They're saying that's laws. That is this. Yeah. Irks me. I'm supposed to say false. They're angry, so I say, I don't love you right now.
Yeah, you're supposed to say false. You're supposed to say false.
So silly. That's so dumb.
You're supposed to say false to all those. Yeah.
If they're sad.
Let's see why. Let's try to guess why. Because now the first one, I have a better guess of why you should have said false. All right. When my child is angry,
please,
I'm not quite
sure
head. What they would want me to do. I don't know how I would have responded to that. I probably would have said false. Because what I'm thinking to myself is, yeah, I'm kind of sure, if they're angry or sad, I'm just going to listen. I'm just going to connect. I'm going to see what's up. I'm there. I'm your parent. I'm going to show up and listen, be present.
Yeah. But part of that is figuring out why they're sad or angry.
But that's not what I just said. You said figuring it out. I didn't say figuring it out. I just said just showing.
You said hang out. You're going to hang out and figure. You're not just going to be there as like a blow-up doll just hanging out.
What does a coach do? Emotion coach. It coaches, it listens, it connects, it tries to solve problems.
Exactly what I'm saying. You're going to figure out why they're sad or why they're angry. Thank you.
Hey, man, I think it's really poorly worded too, but maybe we're missing
let's
something.
Move on to the next dank section. Let's move on.
Yeah.
I'm going to do something I regret in this.
Well, this next one
is ridiculous.
All right. So now we're down to your top two. So the question is drum roll, please. What did you score second in? Did you score second in the dismissing parent, which would make your number one results, the emotion coach parents, which would be great? Or did you still second highest in emotion coach parenting?
I would say I second in emotion coaching.
Well,
first in
I've got good news for you. Your second place score was dismissive parent.
Oh, okay. All right.
So your number one score was
shocking.
Emotion coaching. I'm not shocked at all. But here's what's helpful about this document. Now that we know what your second place score is, what does that tell you about your parenting, my friend?
I think it tells me I'm trying to be the best parent I can. I'm teaching when I can teach. It sounds like, there are things I can improve on, but also there's some of this document that I'm like, there might be some good in all of this in pieces, like a tiered system.
Well, what I was thinking is that if you like this document, if you want to take it seriously, which I think we should, even though we have problems with it, it seems to me like you now know, like, this is your temptation, Jordan. Like your temptation is to be, at times you're tempted to be a dismissive parent or have strategies that are dismissive.
Yeah. But sometimes that strategy is on purpose, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe it's to be dismissive so that they can learn to get over it themselves and they don't need mommy and daddy all the time, that they can be self-sufficient.
Totally, which is a value that you teach. You teach self-sufficiency, you teach entrepreneurship, you teach creativity. And I just think, knowing you, I would have guessed somebody who is well known, kind of even around the world, around the country and the world. You're on a national television show, which means people like your positive personality so much they put you out there to millions of people. And so you're such a positive person. I would have guessed that your number one tendency would be dismissive, not disproven, because you're not negative or mean or shaming, but there's something inside of you that struggles probably with your children.
Yes.
When they see they're whining or they're not pushing themselves, because those are such like strengths of yours.
That's what I thought too. But you know what? To be truthful, and everyone listening, this could be, a good testimony to this podcast. I answered those questions after me and you have done this podcast for how long now? And I've changed my thinking because of what we've been doing.
That's cool.
That is cool. Because I would have answered it differently if I hadn't learned
pumps
this
me
stuff.
up. That makes me wonder, like, hey, everybody take this assessment now, and then maybe listen to some more podcasts.
6 months go by.
Or join me in my VIP membership. That'll rock your world.
Well, that'll be the express
come and talk with me on a live Zoom 3 days a week. All right, so let's break down the section that I found on dismissive parenting. First, I want to tell you something positive. Okay, I really love one of their questions. I put a heart next to it because I actually put a heart next to a couple of those. That's why I want to close my other show with a couple of these hearts. Sadness is question 13. Sadness is something one has to get over, to write out, and not dwell on. And you said true.
True. I 100% believe that. We all are going to go through sadness. No one else can take it away from us. We have to write it out.
Okay, now can I challenge you? Can I coach you? Now, I'm just challenging you.
No,
they made a whole movie about this, dog. They made a whole Disney movie called
one?
Inside Out. And the whole movie was about sadness, man. You watched the movie.
It's a great
movie. The whole dang movie was about how we need sadness. We don't need to ride it out. And we need to let sadness take the joystick of our lives and have control sometimes and don't run away from it, man. That was the moral of the movie, dude.
Okay, but I'm looking at that question differently than the way you're looking at it. And that makes sense to me. But my thought is when we're in the moment of sadness, when any of us are in sadness, we are the ones who have to move on from that sadness and not let it control our lives. No one else can fix
let's
that.
Argue. We're arguing now. This is great. We don't argue very much. Right. We're arguing.
Right.
This may be our first argument.
Have to be...
Dude, the whole movie, man, was written by super smart psychologist people. And they said the exact opposite of what you said. They said, no, you don't have to move on or rush it. In fact, that was the hero of the story was sadness, because Joy was saying what you were just saying. Joy, the little yellow character, was saying, no, we have to move on. We don't got time for that. Don't touch them. Don't touch these. Don't touch. And you're saying the exact opposite of what was in the movie.
Listen, I get what you're saying. Okay. It was a great movie.
It was.
I'm not saying you have to be joyful all the time. I'm also agreeing with you. Let's take all the emotions out there. It's important for us to experience all the emotions. But who can pull you out of anger? You. Only no one else. Who can pull you out of sadness? You. No one else. When my wife has gone through a sad moment and her mother passed away, she is the only one who I can try and bring joy to her, but she is in that sadness and will move on her own. I'm not saying that sadness isn't negative. You can have that sadness, but you don't want that sadness to steer your life only. Yeah. You got to be the one to, right? Or am I coming?
Yeah, that's a good counterpoint.
I love that. I'm going to go back and watch the movie.
That was a good counterpoint, man.
I'm going to go back and watch the movie.
This is why we're arguing. This is why people hate quizzes, man, for like wording, because I agree with everything you said. That was like very inspirational. Like, how do we not let, the pain points of our lives, the things we can't control, how do we not let that turn into grief, where we're sitting and living in grief and sadness and depression? Like, here's something I teach people. I hope you find it helpful. Like, if you can't make this up, depression means you're, dwelling on too many negative things of the past. Anxiety, means you're dwelling about scary future things that might happen in the future. And so what I hear you saying is, sadness where you're just not getting over it, you're dwelling on it. Like, don't do that to yourself. That's depressive and that's not healthy. That's kind of what I hear you saying.
Yeah. And if you, some people want to have that sadness so like they don't forget the moment, right? You want to feel that because it reminds you of the pain you went through or something you overcame. And I get that. And that's you're right. That I agree. I don't think you should ignore that. I don't think you should build a wall and forget something that was so important to you. It tore you up and then you just move on like it was nothing. I think you should access that emotion, but don't let that emotion steer you forever, right? That's why it's important to have all these emotions.
I think you might have won the argument, even though we're supposed to be backing up the document. But I think that my last defense of the document in the quiz is that it says sadness is something one has to get over, to write out, or to not dwell on. And this is a parenting quiz. And I think that when I look at my children, I do not want to have a thought run through my head is, get over this kid. Don't dwell on it. I don't want to think that way. I don't think that's healthy. I think that's really dismissive to be thinking that way or to say it. So if I don't think it's, if it's not healthy to say, it's probably not healthy to think. Because it's dismissive to think that to your child. Now, let's say your child is crying for 3 months about the same thing. First of all, we have to acknowledge that that's extremely rare. And then you have to ask yourselves, what is this thing? Did somebody in the family member die or pass away? Is that not okay for someone to grieve for 3 months? We would all agree that's okay, right? Totally. So then we'd have to wonder now, we're putting values on grief. What about if it's a pet? Are they not allowed to cry for a pet at 3 months? Right. Is only 1 month allowed for a pet? Or what if it's, what if it's a bad grade? So it's like, it's so gray, all this stuff. It's like we're putting
don't
limits.
Let anybody else tell you the answer to those questions either. Every one of us has our own answer for those questions.
Well, we're actually doing that. We're not letting the document tell us. We're arguing with these super smart psychologists who probably took a year to write this thing, and we're arguing with it. So, but this is why we made this podcast, was we really we wanted this to really shake you and to bring up a lot of thoughts for you. Now, here's a couple thoughts. Everyone, take this quiz for yourself. So, Jordan, just let me read this aloud, okay? And do this for yourself. How would you answer to these questions? Ready? Here we go. I really have no time for sadness in my own life. Number 8, anger is a dangerous state. Number 9,
it can be.
If you ignore a child's sadness, it tends to go away and take care of itself. Number 10, anger usually means aggression. Number 12, I think sadness is okay as long as it's under control. Number 14, I don't mind dealing with a child's sadness as long as it doesn't last long. Sorry. All right.
Right. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Number 15, last one. I prefer a happy child to a child who is overly emotional. So Jordan, you said true to all of those comments. And if you said true to any of those comments, then you would be in the score tally. You would be adding scores to your dismissive parenting approaches. And I see why. Okay, so tell us, what do you see in yourself? Because these are pretty dismissive comments, man. Like, this is pretty shady stuff that you said true to. I'm just like poking you right now. I'm poking you.
Let me open it up here.
All
These are the questions.
That's some pretty shady stuff. Now, let's pick on the document.
Okay, which number do you want to?
Well, the first one that I hate is anger is a dangerous state, and they said if you said true to that, which I think is true. You think it's true. And they say, if you say that's true, well, then that's dismissing parent thinking.
That's not, because here's the thing. Anger, I guess if we really break it down, anger itself isn't dangerous. It's the reaction of anger that is dangerous. So the emotion itself isn't dangerous. It's what comes after that. But my argument is nothing would come after that unless you were angry. So therefore, anger itself is dangerous because of what the decisions you make after you are angry. You wouldn't make those if you weren't angry.
I know, man. It's well said.
That's why I'm picking.
I'm just saying maybe we have something. Maybe we have blind spots here on that. Maybe we're missing something, because I agree with what you said. But maybe, honestly, maybe this says more about us. Because we have a lot in common. We think similarly. Maybe there's people listening to us be like, guys, that's obviously false. A child's anger is not dangerous, because let's be there. I'm going to be that devil's advocate right now. Your child is 2 years old. Your child is 5 years old. Your child is 7 years old. Your child is 12 years old. They're getting angry is not dangerous. Like, why do you feel it's dangerous?
I would argue
why do you feel it's dangerous?
That people would say, come up with a couple of examples as to how, when your kids get angry, good things come out of it.
But that's not what this is about, though. It says danger. Maybe I think this is where I think
I'm arguing for the people who are saying anger is not dangerous. It is not a dangerous state. So I want those people to come say, this is why anger is not dangerous, and kind of come up with examples as to why it's not.
I'll go. My one daughter is almost 19. My other child is 14, and my other child is 7. I think we do have a blind spot on this, Jordan, because
I do too.
because I think about my 3 kids, and they have been angry many, many times, and they've never once been dangerous. Right? They're not dangerous. Like, what is right?
That's why I also said it's the decision that comes after the anger. So now Gottman got us. Yeah. Anger itself, is not dangerous, but it's what comes after it. If you get fired or your kid gets kicked out of school, that's going to cause anger. It's what do you do with that flame that you're heated with Do you go and get a new job and say, you know what, I'm going to become better? And okay, that's a positive thing. Is it okay? I'm going to get back at this company. I'm going to get back at my school. That's a negative.
Does
thing.
one of your kids sometimes hit another child when they get angry?
No, my kids never hit each other. Not once ever. Oh, come on, dude. They hit all the time.
So that's a pretty typical, home is
Yeah.
they hit. My kids don't hit. And that's why I answered that. But in many homes, they hit. And so it would be pretty logical and fair for a parent to say, my child's anger is a dangerous state. That I would see that. But that's because of the reaction. Because it makes them feel danger. It feels like danger. There's danger here. I'm not safe. My other children are not safe because someone might get hit or cussed at. So this is.
But how often in this world is someone angry? Like, think of someone really angry, and you don't feel danger, especially when use that anger. Like, people can be mad, but that's different. Anger. Yeah. I feel like is like mad times 10.
Let me read you something.
I am mad times 10. I'm angry.
Let me read you something. I want you to get your thoughts on it. Okay. I'm going to read one of my clients is a dad, and he sent me a private text, and he did not, I even invited him to send this. In my VIP membership, we have a group text that we do, and I encouraged him to share in the group text. He did not do it. He only sent it to me, and now I'm going to read it on a podcast. Okay.
Yeah. Just don't say who it is. That's
right. And I want you to, here's what I prompted him to do. Okay. I said to you, look, when you're in that moment and you're about to do your reactions, what do you say to yourself? What do you counsel yourself with? And he said a couple like cheesy things. I said, right. I really want to coach you. I want to challenge you to speak deeply to yourself and come up with some things that really are going to diffuse you. He's like, okay, I have to think about that. I said, yeah, this is what I want you to do. And I want you to text me back what they are. And I want you to be like, like 7 to 10 things. You with me? Any questions about this assignment?
No.
Okay, why do you think I gave this, before I tell you what they are, why do you think I, told this man to do this and then to text me the results?
Because you're trying to be a mentor. You're trying to be accountable. You're trying to get him to change his ways. If you didn't do that, he wouldn't change his ways. So he's got to actually do the homework.
Yeah.
Why does the teacher send us home with homework? It's so we can get better.
Yeah.
We can learn something.
I tell people this, like I'm telling you now, if you're listening, I do not know what you need to say to yourself in those moments, in those hard, like moments where you're about to explode, you're about to yell, you're about to snap, you're about to say something you don't know. But I know one person who knows exactly what you need to say to yourself. And so who is that person?
Nut up or shut up. What does he say? Tell me what he says.
It says the person is you, listener. It's you.
Yeah, I know.
Right. I didn't know if they knew that. It's right. You. You knew how to counsel yourself. Okay, here's what they said. You ready? He writes, these are thoughts or scripts to say in my head. Number 1. They're not doing it to me. They're not doing it to me.
Okay, so whatever they're doing, they're not doing it to me.
That's how it should be read. Yeah, they're not doing it to me. They're not like purposely trying to come at you.
Correct.
Right?
Good. That's
Number
good.
2, be present and listen.
Yeah.
Number 3, what is he or she feeling like on the inside?
Right. That's an important one.
Speak and stay calm.
Good.
Whisper your response.
Ooh, that's big. A lot of us could do like we're in a library. We got to whisper our response.
I told you, Jordan, that somebody listened to this podcast and told me, like, when you said that on a podcast, like, pretend you're in a library. They're like, I think about that all the time. That's what she said about you.
Wow.
Whisper.
I don't even do that.
Whisper your response. Ask myself empathetic questions. Like, try to relate to them. Try to connect. Isn't this good? This is so good.
Yeah, these are good. This is what we should ask.
Next would be, I keep going to walk away before I blow up, calm down, and come back in a minute. So it's about taking time out. Walk away, calm down. Good. And the last 2 would be, they need me to stay calm. Oh, I like that one. They need me. They need me. My kids need me. This is my chance to be a hero. They need me to stay calm.
Which is very important. I had a buddy tell me one time, he was a dad. He's like, hey, the moment you start reacting like your kids are reacting, you come down to their level and basically are their same age.
So
Let's say the 6-year-old
so
freaking
true.
out, and then you freak out with them. You're going to be just like them. They need you to be stoic and stable. And I'm like, dude, that's good.
Dude, I love doing those podcasts with you, man. That's so.
That's fun.
I love that.
I hope everybody enjoys it.
Next would be don't say anything that I don't say anything that I would say to myself. What does that mean?
Don't say anything that I would say to myself.
Right. What does that mean?
Maybe if he's going through a moment, he'll be like, like what I say, nut up or shut up, or like calm the F down, or whatever.
Say to myself.
Just be.
Oh, like it's like
over
don't
it.
say. Yeah, it's almost like it's like
Yeah.
if I'm saying to myself like something negative, don't let it come out. Like don't say anything out loud that I'm all this crazy stuff that's going on inside of me.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's move on to the last section, emotion coaching. Jordan, everyone listening, take this quiz for yourself. True or false to any of these comments? All right. Here we comes. Ready? Number 44. Oh, wrong one. Sorry. Thank you. And here it comes. Ready? Here we go. Number 32. The important thing is to find out why a child is feeling sad. Let me rephrase that. Let me read it again. The important thing is to find out why a child is feeling sad. True or false?
As a parent, you want to know why they're sad. Good. We'll see
34.
what it says. I said true.
When my child is sad, we sit down and talk over the sadness.
Yeah, you tell us to do that all the time. You're like, hey, you should have a heart-to-heart.
35.
Let's say they're sad.
When my child is sad, I try to help them figure out why the feeling is there.
Yeah. The why. That's me.
the why,
I'm the why. The why.
When my child is angry, I take some time to try to experience the feeling with my child.
Yeah, that's what your buddy was talking. The guy who just texted you, that was one of the things he told himself. What is my kid going through? What are they thinking about in this moment? How are they feeling? That's important for us to do.
38. I want my child to experience anger.
That was the one I was trying to talk about in the beginning of the episode. I want my child to experience anger. I want my child to experience sadness. No, of course I don't. But the reality is, yes, you do.
Did you say true or false to that?
I said true.
Yeah,
because it was confusing, but I'm
tricky.
like, I don't personally want my kids to feel angry. I don't want my kids to be sad, but then I kind of do so they can learn about that emotion.
Dude, this question is so shady. It's like we all need to be freaking geniuses to understand this quiz.
I know.
Like psychologizers.
It's tough.
I want my kids to experience anger. Like, come on, Godman.
Right.
Why you gotta be
Come
so
on.
complicated, dude? Last two.
Right.
39. I think it's good for kids to feel angry sometimes.
That one was so frustrating. I'm like, what?
Hold on, that one's obvious. How was that frustrating?
Because I think it's good for my kid to
Feel angry
What is
sometimes.
it? Read it again.
I think it's
To experience
good
anger sometimes.
For my kids to feel anger sometimes. It's obviously true, right?
Right. But
Why is that frustrating?
it's weird because you think that it's good for them to feel
Oh,
angry.
yeah, that's okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think it's obvious to us, but to many parents, they would not say true to that. They would say false.
Right.
Like, what's the point? I don't want my kid to be angry. I'm afraid of their anger. And then lastly would be number 40. The important thing is to find out why the child is feeling angry. Okay. So, Jordan, you said true to all of those statements, and the document really liked your answers. Because if you said true to those, then you would be giving yourself points under emotion coach. And if you said false, that means you were not responding well to the document's desire for you to thrive as an emotion coach. And so, Jordan, you scored a whopping 20 out of 23 on the emotion coach questions.
Oh, that's good.
That you
were confusing,
slayed
man.
it. Now, the ones you missed are this one. Here's one you missed right here, okay? When my child is angry, it's an opportunity for getting close. You did not say true.
Yeah, because when they're in that anger, it's hard for anybody to get close. Can you imagine your wife or your spouse going off, getting angry, and you're like, "Hey, this is a moment I want to hug you." That's a tough moment to get close.
Yeah, I can imagine that.
Picture that.
It might be hard.
It's hard.
No, it's not.
But it's hard to get
No,
close.
yeah, I was trying to say no. I don't need to imagine that. That happens. But yes, this is
Me
what
too.
this is like deep level like thinking. Yeah, that's the time to get close. When your spouse...
Yeah, but their anger has to come down in order to get close.
Says who? Says
me.
Says you. Are you Gottman?
Jordan?
Right. So, no,
I'm not.
Well, that's not what research tells us. What research tells us is that you don't... Yeah, it's harder to feel close and connected as a listener when someone is angry at you or even coming at you with anger. But there are skills we've talked about on these podcasts of how to show up as a loving person when someone's angry at you. And it's possible to show up as a loving, connected, emotion coach parent when your child is angry at you. What do you think about that? Like, you've heard the term devil's advocate. I'm trying to be angel's advocate right there. Right.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
It's good. I mean, I'm going to have some work to do.
We all do.
Because those moments, they're hard. Because you get angry too, right? I'll get angry.
Gosh.
If my kids are angry, even if it's not at me, I'll get angry.
That's the thing. Like, let's flip this. This is a great way to end our show with some really amazing positive comments. Okay. So we all get angry, right? And wouldn't it be amazing if when we got angry, that our kids, our family members, our spouses showed up with love and care, even though we're at our worst? Doesn't that sound loving and amazing?
It sounds great. I don't know if many of us would want to receive it while we're heated, but it's nice thought.
Well, makes me wonder, like, what does that mean to receive love? Like, giving someone a hug is just one of a million ways of loving someone.
And I know, just to accept it.
Accepting.
Yeah, like,
just, a term I like to use is just holding someone, not physically. Can you hold their anger? It doesn't mean it has nothing to do physically. It's like, can you just sit with someone who's angry at you and be a good listener, be loving, be attentive, be caring, not be people pleasing, not be rescuing, not be avoiding, but just really hold their anger in a very caring, present way. Jordan, you do this all the time. You can do this. I can do it too. Listener, my fellow parents, you can do this.
Thank you for being our coach, Sean, for being our
Sorry.
motivator in the corner. Even when we don't believe in ourselves, you do. That's great. Thank you.
I believe in all of us, and I believe in myself, because this is something that I'm really working on, in my own marriage and with my own, kids and with the people in my life. How, if they get upset at me or they're coming at me, how do I still show up as very loving and present and not dismissive in those moments? Because that's my tendency.
You know what? I'm going to say it right now. That's my attitude of gratitude. Coach Sean in our corner. We're sitting there. We're knocked down. We've been in the boxing ring, and it's been tough. We got a couple black guys. We're sitting in the corner, and you're sitting there, and you're like, dude, you got this.
You got this.
You got this.
Yeah, we got this.
Thank you.
Well, I'm thankful for you, because I called you, probably about a year ago, maybe longer. And I said, I want to do a podcast, and I can't do it by myself, man. I need a partner, and you're my first round draft pick. I want to do it together. And
thanks, man.
I couldn't do this without you. You bring out the best in me. Hopefully I bring out the best in you. And I love you. And I love that we are partnered up to help parents all around the world.
Appreciate all the listeners, man. Thank you guys so much for giving us a shot, and let us know how you're doing in your parenting world. We would love to hear some feedback about what's going on in your life.
Yes, keep us posted on Apple reviews, or contact me or Jordan on our Instagram accounts. Love being in your life, everybody. I want to say thank you for joining us today. You are a good parent, and you're growing. You just listened to a parenting podcast. Make sure you go to my website so I can email you support and encouragement. And please follow me on the social media channel of your choice so we can connect there. This podcast is brand new, so if you love what you hear, please do me a favor. Go to Apple Music and leave me a 5-star review. I'd be so thankful. And if you know someone who needs to hear this episode, well, share the love. Send it to them. But hey, if it's your husband, then be cool about it. Stay strong, be close, and teach wisdom.